douce airs of Switzerland have proved agreeable to bourgeois and revolutionary alike. And of all its cities, Locarno, which sits on the northern shores of Lake Maggiore, enjoys a climate that is the most equable. For the last 12 years, it has been the home of Erich Fromm, psychoanalyst and philosopher. 78 years old, Fromm left his native Germany for America with the advent of Hitler, and is the author of many books which dwell upon the human condition. The strict Freudianism of his earlier years was tempered by a feeling that there were external as well as internal currents. In a book called To Have or To Be, published this week, Fromm proposes that there are two styles people use to prove that they are themselves: to add themselves up in terms of what they possess, or to use themselves up in a process of being. Did the first option have disadvantages?
Well, I would say at first, what I have I can lose. In other words, if my sense of identity is based on what I have, on my possessions, if I can say I am what I have, then the question arises, what am I if I lose what I have? Therefore, the sense of identity based on what I have is always threatened. A person is anxiously concerned of not to lose what he has, because he doesn't lose just what he has, he loses his sense of self. If I feel I am what I have and I have nothing anymore, then I am not. And that sense of identity, which is based on to be, is entirely different, because that can never be taken away from me except if I'm insane or in some peculiar circumstances. I feel, I see, I love, I am sad. All these human experiences, which can be expressed in verbs, are human activities which are not dependent, which cannot be lost or destroyed. And therefore, the person whose sense of identity is based on what he is, that is to say, on the expression of his inner faculties, potentialities in the world, or in that sense in what he does, but does not in an outward sense, he does not have the anxiety to lose himself because something may be taken away from him. He is really free from that danger.
It's perfectly clear to me that the being, as you speak of it, is a process of the quittance of self, and you refer to authorities. One of them most admired, the one that you most admire, is Master Eckhart. Another, I think, is Marx. And I'm wondering if the source of your book, your thinking in To Have and or To Be, finds any source in Marx.
Well, in fact, the whole concept of having and being, in the way I find it, stems for me from Marx. Perhaps I can read just one sentence from Marx. He said, "The less you are and the less you express your life, the more you have, and the greater is your alienated life. Everything the economist takes from you in the way of life and humanity, he restores to you in form of money and wealth." Now, that is the clearest expression of the difference between having and being as two fundamental and opposite principles. And in fact, it also goes through the whole thought of Marx. Marx is concerned with the question of labor and capital. Now, capital is debt. It's amassed wealth, which then can be used for certain purposes. Labor is a life. And the question for Marx is, what is superior, things or life? And in his criticism of capitalism, I think between the line or lines of perhaps as a background, there is the question of life or things and the battle for life.
It just passed through my mind as I was reading that whether you also, in condensing reality into the ideas you write down on the page, in incorporating them into your theories, whether in a way you weren't also trying to have reality.
This book I wrote, To Have or To Be, while I am writing it, I'm fully in it. When it's finished, it doesn't interest me anymore. I don't read it anymore. I'm occupied with new ideas. It bores me in the last analysis because it is not, I don't consider it, I don't feel about it. This is my book that I wrote. But so these are ideas which I once wrote down, and I'm not really interested anymore. I'm interested in things I'm thinking now, and also without really, it's making a great difference whether that's something to be published or not to be published.